Hola, bienvenidos a una lección de lo subjuntivo. So, got a real quick lesson for you here about emotions that inspire the subjunctive. So, you should have the paper in front of you where I've categorized those emotions. And you're going to be filling in those boxes with some verbs so we can talk about our feelings. So, you might remember that the acronym that we use to help us remember when in Spanish we use the subjunctive is weirdo, right? So we have wishes and will and emotion and impersonal expressions, recommendations and requests, doubt, denial, and ojalá. So far we've played around with the W and the R, and now we're going to talk about emotions. So just to remind you that in Spanish, whenever we have subject number one is performing some action that we consider a weirdo verb, plus another subject. So we have two different subjects. That second subject will be performing a hypothetical action in the subjunctive, okay? So to link all that together, we also use the word que. So just to remind you, for example, los profesores nos recomiendan. So there we have a recommendation to us by the teachers. There's our que that links everything together. We are the new subject because they're recommending that we. And then our subjunctive is study for the tests. Estudiemos para los exámenes. And remember, with the subjunctive, we go to the yo, chop off the o, add opposite vowel. Okay, so that's why it's estudiemos, even though it's an AR verb. All right, so today we're going to be focusing on, like I said, all of these emotions. Okay, so every time that we have an emotion about someone else's actions, that action that we have an emotion about is in the subjunctive. So we have to know what those emotion verbs are. So let's go ahead and get started. So I think there's maybe 10 categories. I don't quite remember. So we have alegría, tristeza, amor, miedo, dolor, indiferencia, sorpresa, enfado, preocupación, y lamentación. So we'll be going through. If you're not sure what some of those mean, I'll tell you on each individual screen. So I believe our very first emotion is la alegría, which you can see as happiness. So we've got a couple verbs here. Ponerse contento o contenta. Remember that ponerse is to become. We can always use sentir, right? Sentirse for to feel. I feel happy that, okay? But when we become, it's ponerse. All right? There's also the verb for to become happy is also a reflexive alegrarse, and then it does have the preposition de that kind of tags along with it. So there's two verbs for to become happy, to be happy. All right, now we have la tristeza. You see the word triste in there as the root word, so this is sadness, right? So we're going to have a couple verbs that act like gustar, so we'll talk about those in a second. So again, with ponerse, we can become sad, ponerse triste, and it's reflexive. And then we have entristecer. So you see the word triste in there, and this is the verb form of it. And this is to sadden. So you want to use this like gustar. Gustar, we say, it is pleasing to me, me gusta. If you want to say, it saddens me, you would say, me entristece. Okay? So the it is the subject, and I am an indirect object pronoun. So you may use it with me, te, le, nos, os, or les, plus a singular or plural form of the verb. So we'll be practicing that. So it saddens me. We're going to have quite a few in this presentation like that. All right. So we also have verbs to express el amor. All right, a couple of them are going to act like gustar. They'll have little asterisks next to them, so you know which ones are which. So we have encantar and gustar, right? We can talk about how much we like something, or if we really like it, we can encantar. So me encanta el español. There's just amar, which is a verb to love. You know, I love that you do something, amo que, etc., subjunctive. And then there's this expression, volver loco. It's like saying I'm crazy about something. So, gustar is liking it, encantar is loving it, and then volver loco is like, I really, really, really love it. All right, it's a strong expression of love in Spanish. Notice that it's loco or loca, and that agrees with the person who's expressing it. So if I'm going to say, I'm crazy about Spanish, I would say, me vuelve loca el español. Okay, if I'm crazy about, that you play soccer or whatever, then that play soccer would be in the subjunctive. So it's a pretty strong expression. All right, now we're going to talk about el miedo, which is fear. A couple of verbs here. We have tener miedo de, so tengo miedo is I'm afraid, I have fear. Temer is the verb to fear. Asustarse is reflexive, and it means to become scared or to get scared. I'm scared that, and then you would use the subjunctive after that, all right? El dolor is the word for pain. You might remember doler from like it hurts me, so me duele. So dolor is the noun for a pain. So we have lastimar, and this is an emotional hurt. Okay, so to hurt, like I said, you learned doler last year. That was a physical pain. This is an emotional one, lastimar. Dar la pena, okay, is to give grief to. So it grieves me that, it pains me that. Here's another one, dar lastima. Oh, lastima needs an accent mark on the A. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that I missed that when I added in. So it gives me, and this is another way of saying pain. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, don't forget to put an accent mark on that A. All right, sometimes an emotion is basically a lack of an emotion, right? When we're just indifferent about something. We just don't care. If you want to say that you don't care about something, if I don't care that you do something, I'm going to need the subjunctive. So to express that you don't care, it's basically the negative of the verb importar. So to say it doesn't matter to me, it's not important to me, it makes no difference to me, no me importa. So it takes that indirect object pronoun like gustar does. Dar igual is the Spanish way of saying to not make a difference. Like it's all the same to me sort of thing. Like, you know, doy igual que it makes no difference. Okay, so this is just a conjugation of dar in a normal way. It doesn't take an object pronoun or anything like that. All right, another emotion is surprise. So we have sorprender, where take an indirect object pronoun. It surprises me. Okay, that. All right, and then to be surprised. I'm surprised at. Estar sorprendido. That could be sorprendida as well, because it is an adjective. So. All right, we also have quite a few ways to express anger, okay? So we have irritar, so it's irritating to me, me irrita. To become angry is reflexive, me enojo, so I'm angry that, that's the verb for to be angry. Here's a verb for to annoy, so it annoys me that. So annoying is kind of a level of anger when we get annoyed with someone, all right? We can also become angry. So ponerse enojado. Okay, sorry, I had an interruption there. So ponerse enojado or enojada is to become angry. And then there's also enfadarse, which is it's a synonym of enojarse. They're both to be angry, to get angry, rather. All right, here we have worry, preoccupation, right? So a couple ways to say worry. There's a verb, preocuparse. It can be reflexive, or to say I'm worried that, me preocupo. Or it could say, it could take an indirect object pronoun, like it worries me, me preocupa. So it just kind of depends on how you want to say that as we're playing around with this. Tener ansiedad is literally to have anxiety. And then you can also, to become nervous is another level of worry. So reflexively, I'm nervous, me pongo nerviosa. All right, and then our last one is la lamentación. This is expressing sorry or regret. So when we say I'm sorry, we say lo siento. If I want to be specific that I'm sorry that you've done something or someone else has done something, then I need the subjunctive. So lo siento. Notice how it's sentir that's not reflexive. So sentirse means to feel, but sentir is just to regret. And then we have the verb to lament, to be sorry, lamentar. So lamento que, I regret, I'm sorry that. There's also dar vergüenza. This is literally to have shame. This is a great way of saying I'm embarrassed that. Okay, so it gives me embarrassment. Me da vergüenza. Okay, and then I just need you to go ahead and fill out the Google form underneath. All right, thanks guys.